Is Rishi Sunak starting a trade war with the EU?
Yeah, so obviously you will have read about this. Rishi Sunak is talking about how he wants to scrap thousands of EU laws. He also wants it out of the ECHR, European Court of Human Rights. And the EU is sort of responding by basically saying, well, it's going to kick off a trade war, and it's going to basically punish Sunak and the UK. Now, Josh, I know you're not a fan of Brexit, but one of the points of Brexit, in fact, the main reason why people voted for Brexit, was a principle that laws that govern this country should be made in this country. And there are thousands of laws and regulations that do come from unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. That surely, as a Democrat, should disturb you.
Yeah, but there are two things here. Number one is, when we signed the deal, we made an understanding that there would be an even footing here, i.e. we wouldn't suddenly just cut all the legislation that accounts for workers or for the quality of our goods and whatnot, because then suddenly that makes it unfair in terms of having this trade with them if suddenly our quality of our goods isn't at the same standards as. So that's one issue, and they're right to be. That's a fair enough issue. The other thing is, yes, of course we have the right now to get rid of some of these laws, but at the same time, the bill that's actually been pushed through to do it, there's a lot of problems with it, because it basically gives ministers just carte blanche to cut whatever they want, which is not how laws are dealt with normally.
No, but we need to have sort of debates in Parliament. We need to have...
But this debate doesn't... That's what I'm saying. This law just goes, you can do whatever you want now, and that's a problem for our democracy.
But would you agree that on principle it's not a good idea to have laws formulated
elsewhere? I agree with everything on principle.
Lewis, are you concerned about this? I mean, you know, it's over for Sunak, it's over for the Conservatives. They won't be in next time. But, you know, do you think it's probably the right thing to do, given that they pledged to get Brexit done, to sort of actually push through this kind of thing?
Well, maybe Sturgeon and Sunak should switch positions, maybe, and they'd be maybe more appreciated in the country.
That would be interesting.
At their end.
It's transition from I don't know. Sunak to Sturgeon.
Don't go along with me. That was ridiculous. I got no response from the people. They're not. It's the problem is you can only have one master. Are we our own masters, or are we the masters of Europe? We signed up for Europe because we were desperate. The English, the British signed up for Europe because the British were desperate to be part of those people.
Yeah.
And now, when we realize that it's messing us up in a lot of ways, that maybe we should separate. But if we separate... So we're basically, it's the same thing, the silo thing. There's no Venn diagram. You're either with us or against us.
I mean, how does the EU react to other countries who have, you know, they have slightly different regulations when it comes to trade and that kind of thing? I mean, surely they get around it that way. You know, they shouldn't have a problem with this, so long as the policies are formulated fairly. I would have thought. Well,
I guess that's the question of what is fair. They're basically shooting a warning shot across the bow to say, just be careful.
But don't you think sometimes that the EU, and particularly Macron, has been particularly truculent when it comes to the UK?
Absolutely.
Wanting to effectively punish the UK to set an example for other countries who might be thinking of leaving, i.e. Italy.
I think that